The Trump campaign paid for a pricey Super Bowl ad that bragged about Trump's criminal justice reform. And it featured Alice Johnson. You might have remembered her. She was the person who Trump pardoned, and he did deserve credit for that. But he pardoned her not because of any type of criminal justice reform. He did it because a celebrity, Kim Kardashian, urged him to do it. Now, I'm gonna show you this ad. Again, this was played during the Super Bowl. And then we're gonna fact check it because I think that the facts behind it are incredibly important. Take a look.
I'm free to hug my family. I'm free to start over. This is the greatest day of my life. My heart is just bursting with gratitude. I want to thank President Donald John Trump. Woo! Thank you. Thank you.
So again, the fact that he pardoned her is something that he should get credit for. We gave him credit for that. We gave Kim Kardashian credit for that. But it wasn't due to any type of criminal justice reform or legislation. It was something that he had the power to do as president, to pardon her. But what's interesting about this story is that while Trump may want criminal justice reform, his own Department of Justice has actively fought it and continues to fight it. So first, from Judd Legum, a reporter from Popular Information, he writes on Twitter, interesting that this ad makes it seem like Johnson was released because of criminal justice reform, but it had nothing to do with that. Trump granted her clemency after being lobbied by Kim Kardashian. So that's really the truth. What's also fascinating though is how the Department of Justice has been fighting back against any attempts to pursue criminal justice reform. So the criminal justice reform gathering in April was a triumphant celebration of the First Step Act, the most sweeping overhaul of the federal criminal justice system in a generation. Since its passage nearly a year ago, the law has led to a release of more than 3,000 inmates, including Gregory Allen, who was convicted of cocaine trafficking in 2001. Now let's get to what the Justice Department's been doing. The Justice Department, though, has never wanted to let Allen out of prison. In fact, even as he and Trump shared a joyous embrace on television, federal prosecutors were trying to persuade a judge to put Allen back behind bars. So William Barr hates the idea of criminal justice reform, is fighting aggressively against criminal justice reform. And that's really the story that deserves some attention. Now again, credit to Trump where credit is due. This is really more about what the Department of Justice is doing. And this is someone that Trump appointed himself. William Barr is a person that he handpicked, and William Barr has no interest in criminal justice.
So I want to go back to what the Justice Department is doing in just a second, because it's really trying to erase everything that we could give them credit for. But first, understand, we're doing a lot of credit for Trump in this one segment in a sense, but with giant caveats and asterisks because we're fair and we're giving you the facts. So what I'm gonna give him credit for is good marketing, because he's actually only commuted 24 sentences so far in 3 years of being president. It's actually a very low number, but he takes one person that he commuted and makes it super famous. So it makes it seem like, my God, this guy's full of mercy, when he's the exact opposite. And then he'll do the reverse for undocumented immigrants. Even though undocumented immigrants commit significantly less crime than the average American citizen, he'll pick one or two of them and he'll blow it up to this giant thing. So it'll make it seem like, oh my God, these undocumented immigrants are committing so many heinous crimes like the one Trump keeps talking about. And he'll bring them to the State of the Union, the victims to the State of the Union, etc. So that is effective marketing. Now I say that because the Democrats couldn't market their way out of a wet paper bag.
Yeah, definitely.
They won't take credit for anything they've done right, and they bungle every single political opportunity. Okay, now, and by the way, including Alice Johnson, us progressives asked Obama administration to release her.
Right.
We've been talking about this for a long time. No, wouldn't do it, wouldn't do it, wouldn't do it. Why? Conservatives will yell at us. Then conservatives release her and brag about it.
It's amazing.
How many times do we have to be right? But before we go back to the Justice Department, I want to give credit to two other people. Derek Clifton on Twitter made a great point that I have to confess I hadn't thought of. He said, but that ad isn't for black people. It's fodder for his diehard voters to say, see, he's not racist. Look at what he did for that black lady in prison.
Yep.
Oh, it's a great point. Derek, great job. That's exactly right. And Jake McCovey, a lot of people said this, but I saw it from Jake first. He said about this ad, quote, don't bring your politics into sports, Trump screamed at black athletes while purchasing $1 million Super Bowl ad. What happened to not mixing football and politics and how you were so mad about that?
Right.
And now you're doing Super Bowl ads. That's interesting. Now, finally, back to the Justice Department. So credit to the First Step Act. And by the way, Van Jones, Cory Booker, progressives who worked on this and did a great job as well, they should also get credit, they've now released 3,000 inmates who they should not have had in prison. That is great, great news. Meanwhile, the Justice Department is going around trying to lock them back up.
That's right.
So they're like, okay, we'll get the credit for it, and then while no one's looking, let's just put them back in prison. So you know what the Justice Department is using? They're saying, well, okay, you might have let them out for having only 5 grams of crack, for example, but we think they had more crack than that. That's just what they got convicted on. In fact, the Washington Post says it as, rather the amount of the court records suggests they may have actually had. Well, that's not how our justice system works. You get convicted on something, that's it. You don't say like, he got convicted on that, but he might have done other things too, or he might have done worse things, I don't know. So based on speculation on what he might have done, not what he got convicted on, we'd like to lock him back up.
Right.
So you think these guys are interested in justice?
Of course not.
William Barr wouldn't know justice if it slapped him across his face.
And Trump, look, everything Trump does is self-serving. It's never because he believes in justice or doing the right thing or being principled. It's all about himself. So it's absolutely right to point to how he uses the case of Alice Johnson for his own political gain. But more importantly, what he did for Alice Johnson, while it was wonderful because she did not deserve to be in prison for the rest of her life, it doesn't erase Trump's record when it comes to pursuing brutal, and punitive actions against people who didn't even commit crimes, like the Central Park Five. I mean, he wanted them to be executed even after they were exonerated and cleared of wrongdoing based on DNA evidence. What he did for Alice Johnson doesn't erase that. So I just want to be clear, we do say credit where credit is due, but those caveats are real and they're gigantic.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.